Cash may be king, but credit is a powerful double-edged sword. Wield it right, and it can make your life easier. Wield it wrong, and it can cost you big time. Did you know that the average American household carries over $6,000 in credit card debt? What if I told you that Dave Ramsey's cash-only advice could actually be costing you more than you think? Let's break it down. All right, let's get into it. You've probably heard Dave Ramsey's famous advice. Cash is better than credit. It's simple, it's catchy, and it's everywhere. But is it really the best financial advice for everyone? Or is it a one-size-fits-all solution that doesn't fit all? Today, we're diving deep into the cash versus credit debate. We'll explore why Ramsey's advice works for some, why it might not work for others, and what you need to know to make the best decision for your financial future. Whether you're drowning in debt or just trying to build wealth, this video will give you the clarity you need. Let's go. First, let's talk about why Dave Ramsey is so passionate about cash. His cash-only approach isn't just a suggestion, it's a cornerstone of his financial philosophy. He argues that cash keeps you out of debt, helps you live within your means, and removes the temptation to overspend. And honestly, he's not wrong. If you've ever swiped a credit card and felt that pang of regret when the bill came, you know exactly what he's talking about. But here's the thing. Ramsey's advice is rooted in his own experience. He went bankrupt in his 20s after building a real estate empire on debt. That experience shaped his views. And now he preaches a debt-free lifestyle like it's the gospel. And for many people, especially those struggling with debt, his advice is life-changing. It's simple, it's actionable, and it works. But is it the only way or even the best way? Let's dig deeper. Now, let's talk about the flip side. Cash isn't always king. In fact, relying solely on cash can actually cost you money in the long run. Let me explain. First, cash doesn't build credit. And in today's world, your credit score is like your financial fingerprint. It affects everything from your ability to get a mortgage to the interest rates you'll pay on loans. If you're using cash for everything, you're essentially invisible to the credit bureaus, and that can hurt you when you need to borrow money for a big purchase like a house or a car. Second, cash doesn't come with rewards. If you're using a credit card responsibly, you can earn cash back, travel points, or other perks. Over time, those rewards can add up to hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But if you're using cash, you're leaving that money on the table. And finally, cash isn't always the safest option. If you lose your wallet or get robbed, that cash is gone forever. But if you lose a credit card, you can cancel it and get a new one. Plus, most credit cards come with fraud protection, so you're not on the hook for unauthorized charges. So, while cash has its benefits, it's not the perfect solution that Ramsey makes it out to be. Now, let's talk about why credit cards get a bad rap. They're often painted as the villain in personal finance, and for good reason. It's easy to overspend when you're swiping a piece of plastic instead of handing over cold, hard cash. And if you're not careful, you can quickly find yourself drowning in debt. But here's the thing, credit cards aren't inherently bad. They're just a tool. And like any tool, they can be used for good or for evil. The problem isn't the credit card, it's the person using it. If you're someone who struggles with impulse control or tends to overspend, then yes, a cash-only approach might be the best option for you. But if you're disciplined and responsible, a credit card can actually work in your favor. So what's the solution? How do you use credit wisely? It's not about choosing between cash and credit. It's about finding a balance that works for you. Here's how you can do that. First, use credit cards for everyday purchases, but pay them off every month. If you're responsible with your spending, using a credit card for everyday purchases can help you build credit and earn rewards. Just make sure you're paying off the balance in full every month. That way, you're not paying interest and you're not carrying debt. Next, keep cash for budgeting and overspending categories. If there's a category where you tend to overspend, like dining out or shopping, consider using cash for those purchases. It's a great way to keep yourself accountable and avoid blowing your budget. Then, build an emergency fund. One of the biggest risks of relying on credit is that it can become a crutch when unexpected expenses arise. That's why it's so important to have an emergency fund. Aim to save 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in a savings account. That way, you're not relying on credit cards when life throws you a curveball. Finally, monitor your credit score. Whether you're using credit or not, it's important to keep an eye on your credit score. You can check it for free using sites like Credit Karma or annualcreditreport.com. If your score is low, focus on building it up by paying your bills on time and keeping your credit utilization low. Let's get real for a second. When cash beats credit and vice versa, there's no one-size-fits-all answer to the cash versus credit debate. It all depends on your financial situation, your goals, and your personality. But here's the key takeaway. Both cash and credit have their place in a healthy financial plan. Cash is great for budgeting, avoiding debt, and staying disciplined. But credit is essential for building credit, earning rewards, and protecting yourself from fraud. The trick is to use each tool strategically and responsibly. So, what should you do? At the end of the day, the best financial plan is the one that works for you. If you're someone who struggles with debt or overspending, then Dave Ramsey's cash-only approach might be exactly what you need. But if you're disciplined and responsible, there's no reason to avoid credit altogether. In fact, using credit wisely can help you build wealth and achieve your financial goals faster. So, before you swear off credit cards for good, take a step back and think about your own financial situation. What are your goals? What are your weaknesses? And what tools will help you get where you want to go? Now let's explore some of the different perspectives on this topic to give you a well-rounded understanding. First, credit cards are just tools. If you use them incorrectly, they can harm you. But if you use them correctly, they can provide significant benefits. For example, responsible credit card use can help you build credit, earn rewards, and protect yourself from fraud. However, if you're someone who struggles with impulse control, a cash-only approach might be more suitable. Next, studies have shown that people tend to spend more when using credit cards compared to cash. This is because swiping a card doesn't feel as real as handing over physical money. For people who struggle with overspending, using cash can help them stay within their budget. However, if you're disciplined, the psychological impact of using credit cards may not be an issue. Let's kick the tires a little bit more about the psychology side of things. Let's talk about the pain of paying. I've discovered that there's a real psychological effect related to how we pay. Using cash seems to create a stronger feeling of loss compared to using credit cards. This pain of paying can actually lead people to spend less money overall because they are more aware of the physical act of giving up their cash. On the other hand, credit cards and digital payments can reduce this pain of paying. This might make it easier for people to spend more without fully realizing the financial impact until later. Studies suggest that people often spend more when they use credit cards compared to when they use cash. It's fairly apparent that using credit cards might also make people more likely to make impulse purchases and even potentially less healthy choices. And there's also some evidence that paying with cash can create a stronger emotional connection to what you buy and even increase loyalty to businesses. So basically, credit is a tool that the wealthy and the very disciplined use to build wealth. So avoid costly finance mistakes. Finance Fiascos Volume 1 Raw Confessions plus mind map PDFs for bite-sized quick review of these videos. Use code CLUE10 for 10% off today only. By leveraging credit responsibly, you can take advantage of low-interest loans, rewards, and other financial benefits. Avoiding credit altogether can limit your ability to grow your wealth. For example, using a credit card to earn cash back on everyday purchases can add up to significant savings over time. Cha-ching. But here's a question for you. Have you ever thought about what would happen if your credit card got stolen versus losing cash? I mean, if you lose cash, it's gone forever. Poof, like magic, but the worst kind of magic. On the other hand, if your credit card is lost or stolen, you can quickly cancel it, get a new one, and most credit cards come with fraud protection, so you're not liable for unauthorized charges. Let's be honest though, who even carries cash anymore? I mean, aside from that $20 bill you've had in your wallet since 2019 for emergencies. Now let's talk about the future. The global trend is moving toward digital payments, and some countries like Sweden are already operating with very little cash. This shift toward a cashless society has its benefits like convenience and efficiency, but it also raises some serious concerns. For one, a cashless society could leave behind vulnerable populations like low-income individuals and the elderly who may not have access to digital payment methods or feel comfortable using them. It could also lead to increased surveillance, as every transaction would be digitally recorded, raising questions about privacy and data security. And let's not forget the risks of cyber attacks, fraud, and system failures. I mean, if everything goes digital, what happens when the power goes out or the internet goes down? Suddenly you can't access your money. Imagine trying to buy groceries and the cashier's like, sorry, our system's down. Guess you're not eating today. So while the convenience of a cashless society is appealing, it's important to consider the potential downsides and ensure that everyone is included in the transition. Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think? Are we ready for a cashless society, or do you think cash will always have a place in our wallets? Let me know in the comments below, and if you've ever had a funny or frustrating experience with cash or credit, share that too. I'd love to hear your stories. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what's coming next.